What's going on, guys? Robert Thompson-Eshun back in another video, and today I'm going to be sharing with you guys the special package that came in today, and I'm super excited to share this because I just got recently the new M1 Macbook Air. So this is going to be an unboxing and first impressions video. So hope you guys enjoy the video. Let's get right into it. Okay, so first things first, as you guys can see, it's in the plastic wrap here. And in the box, you basically just get the charging adapter and the instruction manual. So USB Type-C, obviously, the new ones, like that. And then you get the power adapting ability, which is pretty sweet. Check out get some stickers, the black stickers. Okay, this shows you, so you only get 2 Thunderbolt ports and a headphone jack. So it's just a nice little peel system. Right off, and then we have a very sleek device right here. This looks super sick, I'm not gonna lie to you, and it's so small. Wow, that's incredible. Okay, wow. Okay, so I'm gonna be comparing this MacBook right here to the 2015 MacBook that I used beforehand and seeing the major changes. Apple does a really good job of making new innovations and stuff like that, but most of the time it's not really worth it to really jump up a lot of times. Most of the time it's better just to wait a couple of years as long as your device is still working and then see major upgrades, and which is why I decided to actually buy this one, because I wanted to see a major upgrade from the last one I was using, and the fact that my last one has a lot of different documents that are super huge, especially for lectures and stuff like that. So once I get that set up, we're gonna go into a comparison of my old MacBook to the new one
tomorrow.
Okay, what's going on, guys? So basically I've been using this device now for about 24 hours now, so I want to give my first initial impressions of what I think about this new M1 MacBook Air. So basically the first thing I will say is I think this device is ridiculously light, like almost to the point where it's actually a little bit scary, because my old MacBook, literally it feels like 2 of these Airs can equal my old MacBook. And like the fact that it can even like rival my iPad in terms of portability is kind of crazy for me, even the fact that I don't even use the keyboard. So like if you pretty much use a keyboard with the iPad, it's almost the same exact weight as if using a MacBook Air, which I think is insane to think that this device is powerful than both of those devices, and it's basically almost smaller and skinnier than both of them is incredible to me. And I think like this shows like how insane this is. So that's crazy. But anyway, the next thing I think was pretty cool, I liked the most, was the trackpad. Even though I'm not really a trackpad fan, the fact that it is bigger obviously is a lot better. And I like using the mouse obviously more, but when I'm like traveling, I'm obviously gonna be using the trackpad more. So I think that's gonna be a good, huge feature that I can have over using the old 2015 MacBook that I have. So the one thing I think I noticed the most about this new MacBook Air is just the keyboard itself versus my old MacBook. Simply because like the keyboard responsiveness and like the tactile nature of it now, like I never knew how important the keyboard was until I actually upgraded to this one, and now I see like the keyboard is a major factor into when you buy a new laptop or a new computer or any device in general, because that keyboard is like, I just love the keyboard. I'm a huge fan of the keyboard, and the fact that it doesn't have a touch bar is actually good for me because I don't like having a touch bar. So next, I think the next thing that's pretty cool about the keyboard is the fact that it Touch ID. So now when you open your MacBook, you can use that instead of actually powering it on and putting in the password like I used to do back in the day. But honestly, for me, it's not a big deal because I usually use my Apple Watch to open my MacBook Air. But I think it's also a good feature when you're like downloading new things. You don't have to actually constantly put in the password. You can just use that feature, which I think is pretty cool. It saves time, and it's a lot better, honestly. It's a major improvement. Next feature I noticed on the keyboard, which is pretty cool, is the search feature on the keyboard. For me, honestly, it's a cool feature, but like I'm so used to using like command space that like it doesn't really matter for me. And like, but I understand how important it is because my old MacBook had the backlight feature, which really doesn't make sense to have because most times when I'm using my MacBook, I'm using it when there's light outside or like I have a lamp or something like that. So like I never had a problem with actually like looking at this keyboard and like not knowing where the keys were. And my favorite feature that I've noticed recently is the control center, which honestly makes my laptop better than my phone for two reasons. The fact is that nowadays with the control center, it actually feels like you're using an iPhone because now the Wi-Fi, the do not disturb feature, the backlight, all that stuff is in one little place for you. And now you don't have to constantly mingle between like different like system preferences to figure out what's better for you. It's right there for you to access. And this is one of the things I like about the most about this new MacBook Air is that now I feel like since it's like almost like a phone now, I don't have the need to use my phone, which is gonna make me waste a lot more time, be less productive, which usually I use my phone and then eventually I get on social media, do this and that. But I'm using my iPad, or I'm using my MacBook, I'm much more likely to actually get work done. So now that I have these features of do not disturb as well as the control center and stuff like that, this allows me to actually get more work done. So I feel like this device actually pays for itself in terms of the fact that I'm going to be able to work a lot faster and more efficiently, and I'm able to get more work done in the long term. Okay, and lastly, I want to talk about my decision for buying the 2020 M1 Macbook Air, 60 gigabytes of RAM with 512 gigabytes of storage. So honestly, I think that it's still better to buy, for most people to buy the base model of getting just the regular 8 gigabyte RAM and the 256 gigabytes of storage, because most people are never gonna even do any kind of work that's gonna remotely even require anything like that. Why I chose 16 gigabytes of RAM versus rather buying 8 gigabytes of RAM. So when most people bought the M1 MacBook Pros, they even said that the fan barely turned on. But in my experience, when I bought my MacBook and when I do video editing and stuff like that, my fan turns on probably every single time I do any exporting or importing. And this one has 8 gigabytes of RAM as well. So for me, since I had an old MacBook Pro and it had a fan, the main thing for me was whether or not the fan was actually worth it versus the 16 gigabytes of RAM. So I chose to get the 16 gigabytes of RAM because honestly, the fan really wasn't going to be worth it. Is because most times most people didn't even notice the fan turning on for the MacBook Pros, and having 16 gigabytes of RAM I think will make a major difference, a lot more than the fan would. And honestly, I don't know whether or not it will make a difference or not, but I think that later on down the line, when I'm doing more editing and I'm doing bigger files and stuff like that, that's where it's really going to take into account. Now, we're talking about the 512 gigabytes of storage. The main thing I thought about as well was the fact that you can buy external storage for a lot cheaper. And that's something I thought about a lot because my old MacBook that I had only around 125 gigabytes, which was not enough for me. And I feel like now I see that it wasn't enough for me, and I constantly had to delete files, and then all my lectures and stuff like that was gone. And I had to constantly export things. And the fact that I have, like right here, I have all these other storages that I bought and are basically useless to me now because sometimes when you use these external storages, the problem is that they get corrupted or they don't get read. So like, once again, the peace of mind function of it was that if I bought more storage now, I could have the ability to long-term not have to worry about external storages. And I know that anything I throw at this MacBook was probably gonna work, as opposed to if I went through the lower storage route, I might be thinking about, oh, I want to do this project right now, I gotta buy a new external storages, and then if it ends up corrupting too, it's basically like the next $100 of a terabyte is wasted. So for me, it was just like, I'd rather just buy it now, and then I know in the next 3 to 5 years I'll be fine, and then if I really need to do it, I'll buy external storages. But having the fact that I can throw anything at my MacBook now allows me a lot more peace of mind. I think that's something that I think a lot when I'm buying a device, because I think about the fact that the MacBook's not going to change that much in the next couple of years. So this is going to be my daily driver for the next 3, 4, 5, 6 years probably before I buy a new one. So for me, it was just like, do I see myself using this exact same model with no extra features on it in the next 5 years? And then for me, it was like, yeah, I can. But if I had to buy the base model, I probably would have to buy external storages. So it made no sense to me to do that to myself. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I really enjoyed making this video, and I really enjoyed breaking down why I bought this new MacBook Air. So that's gonna be it. I'll catch you guys next time. Peace out. Bye.